All right, this was about DC versus New York, man. This is about DC versus New York. Pay attention, because it always wasn't nice with DC and New York. And a lot of people still talk about those days like when Brooklyn and Harlem wasn't getting along, when it was two different boroughs. So sit back, man. I'm going to give you the real gangster history. All right?
Yo, my man Zip is gonna tell you how you could get in this joint here. 2024 CT5 V Series. This how easy it is to get in it.
8,000, that's it. No social, no credit check, no nothing. You got $8,000 and a valid driver's license, you in it. Owner finance. I'm doing the finance, so you in it, baby.
Alright.
Now, check it out. So it's like this, right? We in New York and
yo, my man Zip is gonna tell you how you could get in this joint here. 2024 CT5 V Series.
All right, I just want to hit that one more time. All right, yo, that's my man Zip. If you're looking for a whip, call my man Zip. My number's on the screen right there, 917-680-9091. Call me, I'll put you with my man Zip. $8,000 cash, you're getting a brand new $60,000 2024 Cadillac CV. All right, now, so when we first went to DC, right, it's like we went back down there in the 80s, right? And it was always bad blood, always bad blood. So picture this. Picture you coming, picture someone coming into your town and they got all the drugs, they got the cars, they got the women. They bring in a whole new dimension that you don't even know, I mean, dudes is pulling up. We put up in 190 Mercedes Benz with the hammer rims, and let's talk about Kevin Charles, joint. Kevin Charles had a Mercedes Benz 190. He cut the top off it. He had to send it all the way to California because they didn't do it on the East Coast. So you pay $10,000 for the car and about another $10,000 to ship it to California. That's 20 just to get the top cut off the car, to turn it into a convertible, because you want to take the roof off the mother. Gunshots to taking the roof off the mother. So he got the red Mercedes-Benz 190 16 valve. That's the top of the line joint. He had the gold hammers on it. The interior was like the gold palomino color with the red piping on the seat, So picture a dude coming in there that ain't even from there. He's driving in this joint when everybody else is just driving regular cars. Now, he got all the money. So because he's selling all the drugs. So you got all the girls is flocking, And the dudes that's trying to get the girls is looking like, yo, who this dude? How he coming through here like this? This Bama. That's what they call him in D.C., so that's the terminology I'm going to use here. D.C. was calling us Bamas, man. You understand what I'm saying? Bamas. New York is Bamas. So that didn't take too kindly with us. And when they said it with venom, like these Bamas. You hear what I said? These Bamas coming down here like this. So that was the conversation amongst the men. You know what I mean? So New York going to different neighborhoods down there. Northeast, Southeast, Northwest, did what they did. I went down to Southeast. I chose Southeast because, I grew up in Brooklyn. I grew up in Brooklyn when, the Jamaicans came up and we felt like, we could do what we want to do because New York was lawless. You know what I mean? And that's the same way it was in D.C. D.C. was lawless. D.C. was walking distance from the Capitol, from the White House. And right around the corner, you got the blacks smoking cocaine. You even had the mayor, Barry, smoking cocaine. They caught him on tape smoking cocaine, having a ball in a hotel, turned it into a crack house. But this is New York back in the day. This is a prison story now, so pay attention, because I'm riding, man. I feel like riding today. I had a good time last night. My brother Lou Sims had his fundraiser for the youth yesterday, and Everybody went up there. Everybody was up there. My man Farris was there. Farris, good man. He got Feet Up Entertainment. Make sure y'all go to Feet Up. You hear what I said? Feet Up Entertainment at Instagram and check out my man Farris. Chicken Rob was there. You understand? Billy Bates was there. You follow what I'm saying? OG Daniel was there. Come on, man. Rich Dollars was there. I mean, all the gangsters was there last night. My man Kareem from Philly came in for that joint last night. I couldn't believe I see Philly in there with the old mesh, old school, Cuban hat. But, it was fire. Like I said, I'm just riding. Let me ride. If y'all don't want to ride, I'm gonna give you 3 seconds to tap the hell out. All right, gunshots for those that tapped out. All right. So now we up in the joint, right? So DC, so you understand, back in the days, DC was known for head shots. When we was coming out of Harlem, we was coming down there to get money. Not for no murder game, not for none of that. We was coming out there to get money. And out the Bronx, because Kevin Childs originally from the Bronx, but, he laid his foundation wherever he chose. But, DC was known for headshots, So a whole lot of brothers was getting sent back to New York in body bags with toe tags. True story. Google what I'm saying. I speak nothing but facts here. So, the fake rats, flip-flop being in public, trolls, they don't want to admit that I'm that nigga. You know what I mean? But I don't need them to, because the streets speak for me. My brother Lou Sims, Peter Shoe, like I said, Farris Chicken Rob, you understand what I'm saying? Crusader Rob, you know what I mean? These are brothers that, Gangster Lou, let's not forget that, you understand? We got men, you know what I'm saying? And our stories is phenomenon. So when we get on here on YouTube and one of those fake trolls, report on us, we praised. But then now that we out here in person after 3 decades and they get to see us live, now they want to try and discredit us. And that's why they got to get a gunshot. You know what I mean? So you understand. So DC was not having that. You understand? And, of course, New York was fighting back. So that's why they always say New York and D.C. don't get along. But that's when we was on the street with the drugs. If y'all ever read that book, Coldest Winter Ever by Sister Soldier, you know what I'm talking about. If you didn't, go get Coldest Winter Ever. Where these girls was fighting in Brooklyn, carrying on, and then at the end of the book, it was wonderful. They all wound up, in Bedford Hills, and the same ones that was cutting each other's faces now playing spades together, hanging out, even though they still had their little animosity, It's like, when we went into projects, with our drugs, we started taking their women, Why should I say messing with they women? So nobody don't take it the wrong way, because, you ain't taking nothing from D.C., just like you not taking nothing from New York. But, you go in and try and get in where you fit in, you know what I mean? Now, it's like crazy. A lot of us met up, so you understand, a lot of us met up in Lewisburg after this time. So now picture this. We on the street, we shooting at each other, we calling each other bammers, we screwing the women, you know what I mean? We selling the drugs, we getting the money, we flossing, we flashing. This how New York was doing it. DC wasn't having that. Like, God, these bammers can't come down here and shine like that in our city. We run our city, man. That's what DC was saying. But New York was saying, we go anywhere we want. If you don't like it, bust your gun. And that's how it was back then. Now, we winds up in Lewisburg, right? So many of us wind up in Lewisburg, and mind you, we both calling each other bammers. Now, we in this small, contained environment together. So, of course, the beef spilled over into Lewisburg, right? D.C. and New York, in Lewisburg, DC had their own floor, or in whatever unit. Like, let me give you my unit. I was in our unit, I was accused of starting a riot, and turning the fan into a zip gun. Now, Jamaica, we call them a one shot, a one pop, where you get one shot. But, I figured out a way to turn the fan, allegedly, into shooting multiple pool balls at the police while they was coming in with riot gear and tear gas, so you understand. If you youngins want this, go ahead and have it, because I'm done with it. And I'm telling you, it's not worth it. Don't do it. All right? Now, so none of this is to glamorize. I'm just giving y'all the history so y'all understand. So now, we in Lewisburg, D.C. got their own floor. You know what I mean? Me and all the D.C. dudes in our block slept on the second floor. All the New York dudes in Lewisburg at the time was over in J Block across the hall, right? So D.C. not only had their own floor, you understand? New York was in a whole nother unit because we couldn't be together, because we was like piranhas in a joint, man, in a tank. You understand? So New York is in J Block and we up on the third floor, where the young wild New Yorkers is at in Lewisburg. And DC is in I Block and they on the second floor. But I was on the first floor in I Block because the first floor in I Block was considered as the reception block. When you first come in, that side of the jail, they put you in I Block on the first floor. So that means that, all the wildest dudes is going to meet up on that first floor. And then once you go through your little orientation, then if you're from New York, you wanted to move over to J Block. If you was from D.C., you wanted to move up to the second floor in I Block. So this is Lewisburg. I'm giving you all a visual of how this works. So while this is going on now, we got the D.C. dudes on the second floor over in our block. They partying on the weekends. They partying, you know what I mean? Till 6 in the morning when the sun come up. New York and J Block party until 6 in the morning when the sun come up. Then everybody meet up when they open the doors. We meet up in the chow hall. Because then you got the other side of Lewisburg. That's called the Mab side, You got a red top in the middle separated. So you got the sand side on the right and you got the Mab side on the left. Doo-wop. Y'all seen this documentary? Go watch Doo-wop's documentary, Official Gangster. When I first got to Lewisburg, Doo-wop was, because Doo-wop's mother had a beauty parlor right next to Mecca Audio. That's family, man. Let's give Doo-wop a round of applause. All right, calm down, man, calm down. Let me get into my groove, man. Let me get into my groove, right? So Doo-wop's mom had a beauty parlor next door where all the baddest Harlem girls would come get their hair done, because Doo-wop's mom was like, the big sister, the queen. You know what I mean? And, so Doo-wop used to come through there, all the homies come represent him. We had Mecca Audio, I Jamaican thing that. That's why I had it red, gold, and green, In Jamaica, we call it ice, gold, and green. So now, Doo-wop had a big, because they used to give out, like, shopping bags. Remember the shopping bags they used to give out back in the days? They used to give out the shopping bags when you go to commissary, and that's where you put your food in. So when I come up, Doo-wop waiting in the middle of the hallway in Lewisburg, and he's sitting there with the gangster grill on. So Doo-wop sits there, and, he waits for everybody to greet me, blah, 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 and Doo-wop was real laid back. He wasn't into all that. So he waited, and, when everybody done, you know what I mean? I walked over to him, and, he shook my hand. He said, man, sorry we had to meet up here because, we went to trial together, me and Doo-wop. We got knocked off and went to trial in Norfolk, Virginia, over at Granby Street, across from the Scope, So that's, and we didn't even get to see each other when we was down there because they had us in separate jails because they're not going to put the gangsters together. And remember, never forget, this is a gangster channel. This is a gangster channel talking about gangsters and gangster-ish. So if you want to know about gangsters or if you's a gangster, this is where you belong. You know what I mean? And never forget, we give gunshots to the trolls and flip-flop wearing in public creeps. You know what I mean? And we definitely don't like the rat bastards over here. You know, nothing wrong with being a rat. You know what I mean? I hate it. I'm going to keep it 100. But y'all keep that over there. You understand? Admit you're a rat. Stay over there and talk to the people that have no problem entertaining rats. You know? But when you come to this channel, you're coming to a bona fide gangster channel. Okay, boom. Let's ride. So now we back into the story. You know what I mean? So you got DC got their own floor. DC got their own floor, like the I Block. Let me tell you about I Block. I might do a whole video. If you want a whole video on I Block, because I Block was the wildest thing in Lewisburg, because it was the reception block, you know. So anybody come to that side of jail had to go to I Block. So I Block had like 4 phones. You know, they had they had a DC phone first. When you first come in the unit, the first phone with that was like the DC phone, you know? And then next to that was like the New York phone, you know? And then next to that was like, you know, this Spanish New Yorker's phone, you know? And then we had the other phone that was just there, you know? And any random could use that after they called their turn and wait their turn. But it was only but so much New Yorkers and so much DC and so much, you know, New York Hispanics, and the lines wasn't long, but the phone calls, it lasted as long as you wanted to talk until it hung up. So if somebody on the phone, you say, yo, I got next. So dude would kind of try and wrap it up after about 30 minutes to let you get in. So you go upstairs, do what you got to do, cook your food, get your zoom, wham, take a shower. You come back, your man see you waiting. He know that, you know, you just killed 30 minutes, so he get off the phone. Now, so we up in the joint, right? DC, right? DC had their own little area in the yard where they hung out. And New York had their own little area where they hung out, just so you fully understand what I'm saying, right? Because everything is geographical and sectioned off, and that's just how we move, you know? They both had their own sports team. You had a DC basketball team, you had a DC football team. Now, when it was time for us to play each other, each one of us was saying, oh, we gonna crush them Bammers. Yeah, we started using Bammers too to go, you know, to go along back with them. So that was the terminology. You see, the Cash App is on the screen. I don't care if it's $1. Make sure you know to hit the logo, and that Cash App says it was created in 2020, and there's no number 1 in my last name, so don't rush to send the money and send it to the Cash App that says spell Hall, Unique Mecca Hall, HA, number 1, and then an L. Not me. Okay, so that's where we at. So we had these sports teams. So whenever New York played DC, the whole jail came out because they knew it was going to be fire. Because New York had athletic dudes, they had the gangsters, you know what I mean? And that's just how it was. So everybody come out to the yard. Everybody's watching these basketball games. The basketball games is getting out of control, you know? But Eric, before I go to that, let me tell you about this. See, this is the way I give y'all game. Y'all get the jewels you're never going to get nowhere else. Nowhere else. You know what I mean? You're just going to get dudes talk about what they heard. You know, I was there in the trenches, you know, so you understand. So now, New York came to Lewisburg, and we started using razor blades. We call them ox. You know what I mean? We call a razor blade an ox. So we started using the ox in Lewisburg. So DC didn't know nothing about that. You know, no disrespect to DC, but DC knew nothing about that. And let me give you the history of the ox. Nah, if you want the history of the ox, put it in the comments. I'm going to give you the history of the ox later. You know what I mean? But New Yorkers had the ox. When we started slicing each other up with these oxes, a.k.a. razor blades, when we started slicing each other in the face, I don't even know what side it is because I'm still so handsome. I think it's this side. Let me show it to you. You see that? That's what an ox do. Do you know what this look like when a dude busts your face open and your skin peel back and your white meat jump out, your black meat jump out, and blood is everywhere? Do you know how to handle being cut by ox? You see what I'm saying? I know how to handle it because I done gave out so many $150s that when I got cut, right? I got cut in Lompoc. When I got cut in Lompoc, it's like I wasn't even surprised or shocked because I knew Karma's a bitch that don't forget no one. You know? Hold on, family. Yo, what up? Who this?
Hey, this Unique?
Yeah, I'm doing a video. What's up? You on the video? I always let people know ahead of time. So if you want to talk, go ahead and talk.
No. Thank you for saying that.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. My name's Marcel.
Yeah.
I'm from the Bronx, in the Bronx, but I grew up in Jersey. And I watch the joint, right? And I'm younger. I'm 46 years old, but I know some of the old cats that one guy, his name's A.V. Avaro, Inglewood teammate.
I know AV. Come on, Avaro. Yeah, that's my man. Yeah.
Yeah, that's my OG. And what's funny is that I know I'm trying to make it sure. I know you got shit to do and everything like that, right? I'm out here in Arizona on the West Coast now. You know what I'm saying? But just to give you some insight, what's funny is that when I met the brother, Val, right? He used to call me your name. I didn't know who he was, right?
Yeah.
But I was when he met me, I was so generous to people and shit like that. And he said, "You remind me of Unique." And I said, "Well, who, I didn't know, to be honest with you. I'm young, you know what I mean?" So, and then when I started watching the podcast, I said, "Oh, this is the dude that AV was talking about." He said, that's some real shit, brother. That's no bullshit. That's not.
Family, I believe you. I know what it is, nigga. It's just these rat bastards and trolls don't want to give a nigga his props. But go ahead. You know?
Yeah. But when you see, that's that type of. I was raised about cats like you and the old school shit, and I respect you so much that I said, shit, I'm gonna call this motherfucker, man. You know what I'm saying? And I appreciate what you're doing, and I came from the offspring of your generation. You know what I'm saying? So I know about the Bronx and and Jersey, Inglewood, and all that shit. When you were saying that shit, I'm like, what? This nigga know what it is, So I get it. You know what I'm saying? And I do beats and everything like that, and I have a lot of shit to say, and I was trying to figure shit out, and maybe we can incorporate some things.
All right, family, listen, I'm doing the show. I'm gonna hit you back, and I definitely want to check out your beats because you could do some beats for my joint. All right?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, let me get back to this story. Watch this joint drop of the day. All right, family?
Yeah. Right,
Tell them your name and where your Instagram is at least.
Well, I don't have no Instagram, but my real name is Marcel, and that's a unique name.
All right.
So everybody knows it's Marcel. I'm junior, and my father's senior. So it's around the New York Tri-State and Bergen County, Essex County, on that strength. So everybody knows who I am. You know what I mean?
All right, family. I'm gonna hit you when I get off. All right.
All right, well, look.
All right, one. But see, that's how real gangsters represent. I don't even know this brother. He called, I answered, we talked, and, he said he was grown up, and, my man AV that ran under me. A matter of fact, AZ was with me when I did a robbery up in Washington Heights. I ran up in a joint, and dudes, dudes, as DC say, because it's a DC joint today, DC versus New York. As DC said, these Dominicans up there in the spot that I rolled up in, they was Bammers, They check it out. They let me in the joint, right? They meet me on the corner. They used to be downstairs. They was too cheap to pay for a runner. A runner's the one that bring the people up to the spot. So they were too cheap to pay for a runner. That's what made them a Bama. So they downstairs on the sidewalk, and they trying to get customers and bring them upstairs themselves. That's a straight Bama. You know what I mean? So now they bring me upstairs, and they open the door. So when they open the door, me and my man AV there. So when they open the door, I push my man AV back. Boom. Pushed him out the door, So AV stumbled back. Dude is behind the door because he go in, he open the door, and he get behind the door to let us in. And I push AV back in his chest. And, AV a big dude, like 6'2", 280, maybe a 130 at the time. But I pushed him back by the chest. Boom. So AV know how to roll because he rolled with me. He know any chance I get to take something, I'm taking it. So when I pushed dude by the chest, he stumbled back and he took his time coming in. And while he take his time coming in, you know, I walked in real fast while dude is behind the door, holding the door to let AV in. So AV come in and he said, you know, y'all got a half ounce. You know, this is how AV talk. Y'all got half ounces, you know. He talks so slow. So the dude talking to AV at the door, and I'm already in the apartment looking around, got the 9mm out. I see he got a bag of Coke sitting on the scale and another bag of Coke sitting on the table. So I just grabbed the Coke, you know what I mean? And when I get back to the door, I tell him, nah, I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm running late. So me and AV walk back out the door, and he goes in the door and close the door. You know what I mean? Yeah, I'm doing the video right now. I'll call you right back. I know. Let me finish doing it, please. Give me a few minutes, all right? All right. Yeah. So I walk back out the door, and when I walk out the door, it was like crazy. You understand what I'm saying? Because I'm running down the stairs. AV know the play. I got the 2 bags of cocaine in my hand, and I'm running down the stairs, and I got the 9mm in my hand. And by the time I get to the sidewalk, the dude is yelling out the window, you know, something in Spanish, telling him that I robbed him. You understand? So we run out. All the Dominicans is coming towards me. So I got to pull out the 9mm that I got hanging out and just bust off to let them know, don't come near me. And I'm running down the block, me and AV, and I'm shooting in the air. You know what I mean? And my man Whitey up the street waiting on me in the Toyota Celica. So AV big, like I said. So AV goes and he gets in the front seat, and I'm supposed to get in the back seat of a 2-door Celica, and I got a 9mm that I'm busting off. So AV was getting me to get out to let me in to pick the seat up, but at that time we would have gotten murdered, you know? So I jumped through the window. I told him only $130. I jumped through the window, and I'm on AV lap, feet hanging out the window, got my arm out the window, and I'm busting. You know what I mean? To keep him off. And my man Whitey got the stick shift, you know, Toyota Celica, and we busting out, and we got away with that robbery. That's AV that he's talking about, you know what I mean? But that's just one of the little joints, man. But let me ride back to Lewisburg. Like I said, we introduced the ox to Lewisburg. They wasn't used to seeing the ox. See the way I stay on point, you know what I mean? Even though I ride a little bit. Because it's like I said, you riding the DC, you know, you got little 20 keys in the back. You might play a Brucey B, a Kid Capri, you know, change it up to a Ron G. And you might put in a Star Child, listen to the old school music. That's called riding. So y'all taking a ride with me today. See how unique my joint is? Unique right there, man. Look on the screen. Cash App on the screen, man. This game is to be sold, not told. If you entertained, you already know what to do. Make sure you subscribe if you're not subscribed at the very least, and give me a goddamn emoji. You know what I mean? That's it. If you ain't got if you're too tight to let go of $1, you know, give me an emoji and make sure you subscribe, you know, and share this video with a friend. So now we're in Lewisburg, and they didn't know what a razor blade was. But when they saw a human being's face jump open where the white meat is hanging out. And the biggest mistake everybody make when they get cut is they touch it and like, oh shit. And as soon as you touch it, the skin is so thin it peels back. And when it peels back, the white meat jumps out. So when I got cut in Lubbock, right? I told y'all this story. I'm giving y'all a little quick one in case, you know, God forbid you youngins wind up in prison and don't listen to me, don't think this thing is real, and, you know, wind up getting your face busted open like I did. Gunshots, you know what I mean? And a round of applause to the dude that ripped me with the razor blade. Bump, 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 bump! Gunshots! You know what I mean? And definitely a round of applause, dude that ripped me with the razor blade. Because it's all a part of the game. You can't get mad when you at the losing end of the stick when you've been on the winning end of the stick. You know what I mean? But when I got cut, I knew, you know what I mean, not to touch it with my hand. So I just put my hand here to try and catch the blood so I could get back past the police And no, I didn't run. I walked past the police, tried to walk in with everybody else with my hand like this and the blood dripping out my face down to my hand. Police saw me, takes me to the infirmary. They take me to the infirmary. They go in there, you know, before they even stitching me up, they ask me who did it. You know what I mean? How did it happen? How did you get cut in our prison? They asked me. I looked at him and I said, look, man, I was walking around the track, you know. Somebody bumped me from behind and I stumbled into the fence and got cut on the razor blade. Call my bluff. And I filed a grievance on that. I filed a grievance on them having a fence, you know, that had something jagged sticking out of it that I cut my face. But I never put another inmate's name in it saying that this person cut me. No. And they felt they knew who cut me and all of that. I didn't get no shot. He didn't get no shot because I told him I got cut on the fence, and the fence, you know what I mean, is not going to retaliate, because that's all the captain kept asking me. I never forget. I'm even going to tell you his name. You know what I mean? Maybe if he's watching this or somebody watches, know him. He was Captain Kerem at the time. Then he became Warden Kerem at, what's that joint in Pennsylvania? Scranton. You know, he became Warden Kerem. Warden Kerem was so cool, right? When I got ripped in the face, Warden Kerem walked in. You know, he walks in the hospital, and I'm laid back on the bed, face all busted open. I wouldn't let the police touch it, you know, but blood just leaking out. You know what I mean? Blood leaking out everywhere. So the doctor's like, yo, we have to stitch it up. We have to stitch it up. And the police are like, no, we're not going to stitch it up until you tell us who cut him. You know what I mean? So I said, man, I told you I got cut on the fence. So then here come Captain Kerem come walking in nice and cool. That's why I respect him. Gangster. So if you youngins want to go through this is what you got to go through to be a man in the prison and hold your reputation. You know what I mean? When you at the losing end of the stick and you get ripped in the face like I did, you don't say no names, my nigga. You don't put in no grievance, nothing about nobody. Let's get that straight, man. And this ain't no shot to nobody. I'm just speaking the facts. So when Warden Kerem come in there, he come in with this gangster stroll, with his little, you know, with his little button-down shirt, you know, had his tie on. He came in and he stood over me and he just looked at my cut. He looked at me. He said, damn, Unique, you know, who did this to you? You know what I mean? I said, I got cut on the fence, Captain. He said, oh, that's your story? And then the clown-ass SIS, Special Investigation Service, like the FBI for the joint, they say, yeah, he won't tell us who cut it, da-da-da-da. So, you know what I mean? So we're not going to stitch it, da-da-da-da. So Warden Kerem kindly said, Unique, one more time. Who cut you? I said, I got cut on the fence, Captain. So the captain said, okay. Only thing I want to know, because I don't care about your cut. This how gangster it is in prison, man. So if y'all want to go to prison, man, y'all want to go to prison, go on to prison. This how you got to deal with it. So when you wind up, God forbid, in this situation. Warden Kerem said, okay, Unique, I don't give a crap about the cut on your face. I don't give a crap about the retaliation that you sitting there thinking in your twisted little evil mind that you want to do. Because I know you a gangster, you know, but I'm gangster too. This what the captain is telling me. If I say warden in between, that's because he became a warden later on. So, and this is why he became a warden, because this is how gangster he was. Captain Kerem said, Unique, I don't care nothing about that cut on your face. I don't care nothing about what you're going to do, what your boy's going to do, none of that. All I want to know is, can I open my jail back up? That's all he asked me. He said, I don't care about the cut on your face. I don't care about who cut you. That's between you and him, because I know you're a gangster. But all I want to know is, can I open my jail up to continue to have my unicorn functioning and have my jail running in an orderly fashion? So you know what my answer to him was? I said, Cap, defense don't retaliate. He said, that's all I wanted to know. If y'all understand what that meant, put it in the comments. I told the captain, defense don't retaliate. You know what I mean? So that means, if y'all put in the comments and don't know, what I was telling the captain is, I'ma handle it. This ain't got nothing to do with y'all, so no one is gonna retaliate. Well, I didn't have to say all of that because you don't do too much talking when you're talking to the opposition. So I told them, in other words, I didn't want them to shut down a jail to penalize the other 2,000 men because of the situation that I was in, because all I needed to do was get to one man. You understand what I'm saying? So I said, the fence don't retaliate. He said, good enough. He said, yo, stitch him up, give him the best job you could give him. It was a little Indian doctor. The doctor came over there to start stitching me up, and he got this big ass needle he about to stick in my face, and he want to stick a Novocaine in my face, But they give you the Novocaine when you go to the dentist. They want to give me something to numb up the pain so I wouldn't feel the needle ripping through my face. That's why the Cash App is on the screen. I don't care if it's $1. You know what I mean? And make sure it says, hit the logo to make sure it says it was created in 2020, please, or don't send shit if you ain't gonna hit to go the extra step, and there's no number one in my last name Hall. It's not H-A number one Hall, H-A-L number one, none of that, But anyway, so they got this big ass needle that they want to stick me in my face to numb the pain. Then they got another big-ass needle they want to stitch me up with. So as soon as the doctor went, to stick the needle in my face, I said, hold it, doc. What are you doing? Tone it down, He said, I'm going to tell you how to do me. You know what I mean? Listen, I got my whole face ripped open. I'm laying on a gurney, and I'm telling the doctor, hold it. I'm going to tell you how to do me. This is how you do Unique, all right? I said, stitch the white meat up first. You know what I mean? Because he wanted to just, they try and get you out of there. So he wanted to stitch the brown meat, the outside skin, this. He wanted to stitch that. Now, if you stitch that and don't stitch the brown, the white meat on the inside, when it grows, you understand what I'm saying? The white meat is going to continue to grow and it's going to spread, and that's how people get keloid. I want to still look handsome. See, if I don't tell you about my, my little $150, you wouldn't even know. But you see what I'm saying? I said, get the white meat first, doc. You know what I mean? And the doc looked at me, and he actually said, that's the proper way to do it. And of course, the officers say, just stitch him up and get him out of here so we can get back to what we do. We got to go back to strip search the men coming off the yard. I said, well, you go strip search who you want, but he's not touching the brown meat without touching the white meat. So the little Indian doctor, he said, but you want me to give you some steroid shots to numb the pain and all? I said, I don't need none of that. You know what I mean? I said, my life has been pain. This is nothing compared to what I've been through in my life. So he went and proceeded to stitch the white meat up. The white meat is under the black meat. See, I'm giving you all kinds of jewels. That's why Cash App was just up there. The white meat is under it. So this doctor actually took his time to stitch the white meat nice and easy. 15 stitches on the white meat. Bang. You know what I mean? And that held it together. And then he went and did another 15 equally lined up stitches to do the brown meat, Then he gave me a mirror like I was in a dentist or I was getting plastic surgery. And he said, how does this look, Unique? And I looked, I said, man, you did a good job, man. Give me 5. You know what I mean? The police is looking at us like we're crazy because this doctor know me because, when you go to medical, they there. So I said, give me 5. I said, man, you did a great job. He said, okay, well, I'm going to put a patch over it to hold the blood. I said, no, don't do that, Just give me some alcohol pads so I can sop the blood. You know what I mean? Because if you put the pad on it, the blood is going to get keloid also. He said, damn, you ever thought about going to medical school? I said, nah, I just really like giving out pain, And I finally got my pain given to me. You know what I mean? So the doc started laughing. They said, man, get him out of here so we can go back up. So now, when it's time to go up, I got, like Black and Miles in my pocket and cigarettes in my pocket because I was in the yard, I even had weed in my pocket. But the captain was so cool. The captain said, put all this stuff in a bag and give it, talking about, my coat, and everything they took off me, He said, put everything in a bag and take it upstairs, give it to him when he get in the shoe. You know what I mean? He ain't know what was in it. He didn't care what was in it. But bottom line is he liked my gangster that I let him know you could open your compound up because the fence don't retaliate. So when I get up there, I got weed, I got Black and Miles, I got cigarettes. So I'm up there doing my little 1-2. I'm hustling again up in the shoe. So now, let me ride back to this Lewisburg, D.C. thing, man. You see how we ride here? Gunshots to the ride, man. This what?
Mecca what? Mecca audio. Aight.
Just enjoy the show, you rat bastards, and get the hell off. This is a gangster channel, man, and it's how gangsters ride. Okay, so now we up with a joint round. So they take me, I want to ride to Lewisburg. See, I can go where the hell I want to go. My channel, my ride. So, that's like when you ride out of town with somebody, the driver picks the music. Not the passenger. The driver picks the music. I'm the driver. You're the passenger. I pick the story. Okay, now that we got that straight. So we in Lewisburg, right? So it was a big-ass basketball game out in the yard in Lewisburg. All hell broke loose. All hell broke loose. So it was something that happened, and both New York and D.C. rushed the basketball court, and everybody's standoff. Dude got knives, man. D.C. dudes got their knives out. New York dudes got their knives out, and nobody's scared. Everybody's standing up, ready to go New York against D.C., because, we finally gonna get it on from the street. You see how I ride my story, And then one of the brothers from Brooklyn, true story. One of the brothers from Brooklyn, I'm even gonna tell you his name so you could look this up, because you got these rat bastards that say this shit is too sensationalized to be real. But this is what my life was. We had a brother from Brooklyn named Powerful. Big shout out and round of applause to Powerful. Big shout out, round of applause to Powerful. Gunshots. Now check, relax, y'all. So Powerful pulls out a razor blade. He pulls out a razor blade, a razor blade is this big. A razor blade, a single edge razor blade. He pulls out the razor blade, and when he pulls out the razor blade and he backs it out, everybody got knives and everybody's backing up. You understand what I'm saying? Everybody's backing up from D.C. oh, he got a blade, he got a blade, he got a blade. Because they seen the vicious work that a razor blade do on a man's skin, on his face. So they backing up, was more scared of the little ox than they was the knives that we was holding. But that's how vicious it get in there, man. Because they didn't know the damage that a razor blade do. And it's crazy. But if you want to go to prison, feel free to go to prison. It's there for you, man. Let me give my man another plug real quick, all right?
Yo, my man Zip is going to tell you how you could get in this joint here. 2024 CT5 V Series. This how easy it is to get in it.
8,000, that's it. No social, no credit check, no nothing. You got $8,000 and a valid driver's license, you in it. Owner finance. I'm doing the finance, so you in it, baby.
All right.
Now, so, that's the Cadillac, you know what I mean? At the end, I'm going to show you the Range Rover my man's selling. My man got a Range Rover. You got $30,000 cash right now. He's going to get you in a 2022 and a half Range Rover that costs $120,000. You got $30,000 cash. He ain't going to do no credit check. He owns it. He ain't going to do no credit check, no nothing. Just bring the cash. All right? So the number was just on the screen. It's 917-680-9091. So you understand. You understand? Just bring the cash, and your valid driver's license. He ain't gonna do no check. He don't need no social. He don't need no nothing, He get you in the whip for $30,000 cash like you could get in that. That was a 2024. I drove that last night, the Cadillac. The Range is that. That was the 2024, Yo, I'll be upstairs in a minute. I'm doing a video. Yeah. So, that was a 2024 Cadillac, He get you in that. You got $8,000 cash. You get in a 2024 Cadillac that costs you $60,000, and he does his own, financing for you. Whatever, you just need a valid driver's license. He just said this is what he said. So y'all got to challenge him on it. He said you don't even need your social security number. But I've been up here long enough, so let me tap out, man. Let me give y'all this outro. But let me show you the Cadillac first. All right, now I'm gonna show you the Range. Let's go. Let's show you the Range.
Yo, 2022 and a half Range Rover. Get in this joint right now. Zip with the whip gonna tell you how.
30,000. Vehicles 120. 30,000 gets you into it. Pull off the lot. No credit check. No social. I told you. No application. 30,000, you out of here. 2022 and a half. Range Rover Westminster V8. Everywhere. This the last of it.
All right.
Now, so that's where we at. So you understand, my man doing big things, man. That's Zip with the whips. You know what I mean? Zip with the whips. Yo, and let me just tap out, man. Come on, son.
Yo, 2022 and a half, Range Rover, get in this joint right now. Zip with the whip gonna tell you how.
30,000. Vehicles 120, 30,000 gets you into it. Pull off the lot, no credit check, no social, I told you. No application. 30,000, you out of here. 2022 and a half. Range Rover Westminster V8. Everywhere. This the last of it.
All right.
Now, so you understand, that's Von Zip. Von Zip that was allegedly connected to the Biggie and Tupac situation in California, son. And I want to give a plug because I've been watching something on YouTube that I've been liking, man. I'm not gonna lie. I've been watching it and I just look at it as entertainment because that's what YouTube is, man. I've been watching Zip with the Drip. I've been watching 050. You know, I've been watching 10 Toes Down, you know, Hassan Campbell. I mean, yo, these brothers, man, you know, I love their entertainment. You know what I mean? I love their entertainment, man. I mean, make sure y'all check those men out, man. You know what I mean? Because that's what we do. We support each other over here at Unique Mecca Audio. I don't get involved in nothing. I just sit back and I enjoy the ride, man. The same way I ask y'all to come enjoy my ride and don't troll me, don't go trolling these brothers because you don't agree with what they saying. You know what I mean? Just go to enjoy the ride. So I'm going to say it again. We got Zip with the Drip. You know, I had to plug him because, you know what I mean? We got my man Von Zip that been around since the 60s. You know what I mean? That's the old Zip, you know? So we got Zip with the Drip. You know, we got 050. Yo, I love that kid, man. Yo, China, you know, give him a round of applause. Give him a round of applause. Give him a round of applause. All right, relax, y'all. We are, you know, that 050, they came a long way, you know. He came a long way like I came a long way, and that's why I want to give him a round of applause, because I like the way he's shaping his program, and he's doing it more like a journalist instead of giving his personal, you know, opinion. Because, you see, I don't give my personal opinion on nobody. I just report the story, and that's what, you know, China been doing, and I love his program. And Zip with the Drip is the funniest, man. Yo, he is the funniest. Yo, listen, if y'all ain't never watched the Zip with the Drip program when you smoked up, y'all don't know what New York is. He's straight New York, old school, man. I mean, he's young, but he got that old soul. You know what I mean? And like I said, you know, then we got, you know, 10 Toes Down, you know, that be going at it. Then you got Hassan Campbell that dropped the jewels. I watched Hassan. I talked to him on the phone. He give me advice. These are brothers, man. These are other programs. These are programs. And don't judge me. Gunshots. You know, I love the entertainment like y'all love my entertainment. That's all it's for. So I'm not going to sit here and try and badmouth this one and badmouth that one. That's not me, man. I'm going to plug them. You know what I mean? When they doing something right. You might not agree with what they saying. You know what I mean? But you got to just sit back and enjoy the ride. It's for entertainment. Don't get emotionally caught up in it. But let me tap out, man. Been on here long enough, man.
Yo, 2022 and a half, Range Rover, get in this joint right now. Zip with the whip gonna tell you how.
30,000. Vehicles 120, 30,000 gets you into it. Pull off the lot, no credit check, no social, I told you. No application. 30,000, you out of here. 2022 and a half. Range Rover Westminster V8. Everywhere. This the last of it.
All right.
So that's where we at, man. Make sure y'all understand what we doing over here at Unique Mecca Audio. All right. Now, I'm going to give you my intro one more time.
Yo, my man Zip is gonna tell you how you can get in this joint here. 2024 CT5 V Series. This how easy it is to get in it.
8,000, that's it. No social, no credit check, no nothing. You got $8,000 with a valid driver's license, you in it. Owner finance. I'm doing the finance. So you in it, baby.
All right.
All right, let's go. Tapping out. But before I do that,